Hi, I'm Pete, and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. This morning, Hilarie and I are heading out to move the cluckers. I guess our ramp requires some repair work. There, repaired. Where are we going, Hill? Straight ahead?
Yeah.
Here's the old spot they were on. 6 days they were on here. Here's what the grass looks like in the new spot. This is the point in the video where we find something witty to say about the heat. But my brain is already boiling. 90 degrees and humid today, like a jungle. Or is that rainforest? I don't know. It's refreshing, kind of, in a way, because it's sunny out and it's been cloudy, thunderstorm, rainy, hazy for the last week or so. So I'm happy. Hi, JJ. You're happy out here laying in the mud, in the shade. Pig update, pig update. Bossy Pig is still bossy and very friendly. But is she pregnant? I don't know. She was in with JJ for 4 months, and her last due date from being pulled out is in, I think, early August. So, I don't know. You know, her belly looks a little bit bigger, but I don't know. Billy, Brownie. Hey, Billy. You want to scratch? You want one to mow the back. These two, I think, have bred because we watched for Brownie to come back into heat last week, and she didn't come back into heat, at least not that we saw. We'll leave them together and let it ride and see in 2 more weeks if she comes into heat again. If she doesn't, that means she's bred. My attitude toward raising pigs changed dramatically a few months ago, where I view it more as a hobby than anything else now, so we're letting it ride. Billy, you sit like a dog. You do. This will probably be our last set of breeding pigs. After this, after they age out, we'll start buying feeders from a local farm. That is, I hope I can find some decent quality ones. It's getting harder and harder. Let's see what we got going on in here. Oh, you guys, don't run away. I hear them. They've made some trails back here. If I sit here in one spot instead of chasing them around, pretty soon they'll come back to me. Not quite. And we'll just raise 3 or 4 pigs a summer for our own and some longtime customers' consumption, and that's it. Low stress, lots of fun, easy to do. That's what I like. I had Himalayan deer steak last night. It's so good. Now you may be wondering, where can I get Himalayan deer steak? And it's easy. I found Himalayan in the road. That was bad, 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 bad. Hey cows, what do you guys want? What do you always want? My new pasture, of course. They'd rather just stand and complain, but a few of them are coming. Here we go, guys. Lots to eat. This is today's buffet. Cows know what's what. They always go for the alfalfa first. Then the clover. Off they go to explore the space. This little one stopped for a drink, though. I'm going to take you out to walk the field. And this is an activity that I can't stress enough. Just like the old saying, the farmer's boot is the best fertilizer. Well, maybe aside from this stuff. This is the field they just came off of. They were on here for 6 days, about 4 acres, 35 head of cattle, including calves and yearlings, and they plowed this down. You remember the last video I put them on it, and it was nice. They took all the tender stuff down and left, you know, as they usually do. The stuff I would like them to take, these seed heads, I'd like them to take this off too, but they don't. And my plans for this pasture, just let it rest, and then when it comes back, we'll put them back on it. This is the gate to the lowest part of our farm, and it's been closed off to the cattle for about 2 weeks now. This is the upper field of that lower part of our farm, about 5 acres. You may remember I clipped this about 2 weeks ago with the Farm All H and the sickle bar mower, and clipping is like a reset on the pasture, especially if you're in a rainy period like this. You clip it down, it's coming back beautiful. It's not ready to graze yet, but with the weather forecast that we're going to get, with again rain coming for the next week or so, this will be ready to graze in a week, and they'll go on to this then. You can see what happens when I clip it. The grass grows right up through here, and it adds this layer down in the soil, this layer of decomposition. You want that, and that's something that's forgotten about, I think, with chemical-based agriculture a lot, is the importance of this rotting layer down here. When folks take a field and they always hay it, they never leave any residue on it, there is nothing feeding the soil except for the chemical they put on after it, and that chemical is not the best thing for the life in the soil, the worms, the decomposers, plus you're depriving them of that food. I think that is a really important missing part of the way a lot of land is handled. Now we come to the 2 fields that I'm really interested in. This one first. It has been about 3 weeks since the cattle were on this field, and a lot of volumes come back in here, and this has never been clipped or hayed this year. So what you have is you've got first growth stuff that's died back, this yellow stuff, that's mixed in with second growth. You know that old saying, I prefer to take my hay in December and do all 3 cuts at once. Well, this is what you get. You get first growth stuff that goes to seed and dies up, and that dies off, and then you get stuff that grows up through it. And this field's in the middle of a kind of second growth burst. Now what to do with this field depends on a judgment call, as always with grazing. If it continues to grow like this and I have lots of other pasture for the cattle, I'll take this off for hay in the first dry spell, and like clipping, that'll reset it, but there's enough volume here where it makes sense to not clip it and leave it on the ground, but rather to take hay off of it. If we get into a bind on pasture, then I'll put the cows back on this, let them take it down, and then clip it. All depends on how the weather goes. You especially see that first growth die off and that kind of brown tinge toward the top of the field. That's mostly orchard grass that's gone to seed and then yellowed out. A third option for this field would be to top it high, say top it at 9 inch and just clip that brown stuff back down into the field. And you can do that. You're not really going to do much in terms of increasing volume of grass growth. You're just getting that yellowed stuff down onto the soil to start decomposing. That's not something I would ordinarily do this time of year. I'd graze it and clip it or hay it. This is the final field I'm really interested in taking a look at. This is the triangle field, our only unfenced field that I exclusively take hay off of. It's quite distant from the kind of home base up there, so we've never fenced this. I took first cutting hay off of this 5 weeks ago. It is ready for second cut. The grass is around a foot tall, and as soon as it dries out, which isn't going to be at least for a week according to the forecast, I'll be on here to make second cutting. And then finally, we have this field, the middle field, one of our problem fields that I identified last spring. It's got really nice dense growth in it. This field is similar to the field before last that I showed you, where it's in a state where it can be grazed again, or I can take hay off of it. Which will I do? I don't know. It depends on the way the grass growth looks when we finally do get a dry spell, and then I'll make a decision. But it'll be this one or that one I make hay off of, plus the field we were in last. And finally, if you remember way back to the spring, this is the one problem field that I dosed with lots and lots of manure. And that manure takes a while to kick in. In fact, I won't get the maximum benefit out of it this year. Next year, the second year, is when those high dose fields really start to show good production. There's a postcard. This is what the cattle do when it's hot. Patty. They stand on the hill and catch the breeze in the shade and bellyache. It's much cooler back up here by the house in the shade. I enjoy the art of farming. Farming is a lot more than just sticking a seed in the ground or plopping an animal on a pasture. There is a lot of variables that come into play, and the way those variables interact together is what makes farming interesting to me. Always new challenges. The weather. I used to think, oh, weather, there are average years and not average years. When you're a farmer, it doesn't seem like there is any average year. Think of this year. It was really cold late in the spring. We didn't put as much volume on the pasture as we normally would. Then it got really dry right after haying, and it was dry for a good 4 weeks. And then it started raining, and it didn't stop raining. Dealing with that stuff day to day really brings you close to the way nature works, and figuring out how to keep the fields in good production and the different strategies you have for doing that just makes things so interesting to me. I guess I'm out to show that with the channel, that farming is an intellectual activity as well as a brute force activity. I have a couple things to close out this video. The first is I've been getting letters. I got a letter from Estonia, Australia, Ireland. I get them from all over the world, as well as many places in the US, and I appreciate them all. So many insightful letters, appreciative letters. I don't know, I'm old-fashioned. Letter communication. If somebody sits down to take the time to write a letter, I know that they're going to put some thought into it, and I know they have worthwhile things to say. So thank you very much to everybody who sent the letters. I very much appreciate them. The second thing is that me and the kids, Gray and Henry, will be going to Rantoul, Illinois at the end of August. August 24th through 26th is when I believe we'll be there for the Half Century of Progress show, which is billed as the largest antique machinery show in the US. I can't wait to go. I've never been before. It'll be great to meet viewers out there, so I'm giving you advance notice that we'll be there. And I may even have a booth. I'm talking to our merchandise provider right now to see if we can coordinate getting one there. So stay tuned. I'll give you more information as we get close to it. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.